welcome back to the BDRP Late Show. I'm your host, D. Doss. Glad to be back with you guys after a little, I haven't been that long, but working on this thing. I think it's going to be the longest project I've done so far. It's clocking in right now at about an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm happy to announce it's my first film, technically, I guess. But yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's its own monster. It's building itself. Hello, Claire. Great to see you. Doug. James Escobar. Happy that you all could join me. Folks, I'll tell you what. Fun. And I have a special treat this week for you guys. I was privileged enough to get to have an interview with somebody who's a pivotal player in the Choctaw Nation. As you all know, I'm from Oklahoma, and this is the home of the Native. This is literally their home. So much so that the Supreme Court saw fit to honor the treaties of old and return back to them. And half the state now has gone back to the original treaties from 100, 200 years ago. And they literally have this town I'm in right now is literally Indian territory, just as it was before settlement. And I'm proud that I get to interview this person, and very, very honored. And she has a lot of things to say to y'all. Whoops, sorry about that. So yeah, super excited about that, and it's a very proud point for me being a proud native Okie. But in any event, a lot of folks talk about the mysteries of the Native American people as far as cryptids go and whatnot. But I've been well blessed to be able to present to you guys somebody who is not only ingrained in Choctaw legend, but it has become a part of Choctaw history. So that's awesome. But in any event, folks, as I was working on this project for you guys, which has turned into a feature-length film, sort of, I started diving back into the histories of everything, and it's basically what would you call it? Historical fiction. And I started knocking the dust off my knowledge on Bohemian Grove. And I started looking into it again. When I was a young man, much like all of you guys, you had a point in time where you were young and you started opening your eyes to the truth of the world. Either that or the truth of the world was just thrown at you, and God was like, here you go. You thought this was reality? Nope. There. And he just throws it in your lap. And everything you know has been turned upside down. Everything that you thought was real, everything that you perceive as reality is the perspective of it's absolutely changed. And Bohemian Grove was one of my first forays into I hate saying the truth community, because that seems ridiculous to me. There is no community of truth. Truth is truth. It stands on its own. And as the Bible dictates, if you speak of truth, you speak of him with a capital H. So when I first started opening my third eye, I was cutting my teeth on Bohemian Grove, the Council at Rome, all these brain trusts that the elite has. These crazy, it's almost like a conglomerate of uber intelligent people. And these people dictate every perceivable part of the reality we experience. What you see on television, what you see in the movies, all the way down to the clothes you buy, whether you be poor or wealthy, is dictated and given to us in a certain way by certain people for a certain reason. And I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. Much like this cryptid field, there's a reason why there's a certain amount of people that'll have television shows and a certain amount of people that will appear on TV. Many people have appeared on TV, but there's people that have television shows that propel this industry, if you want to call it that, forward. And before I jump into this, speaking of the industry, think it not strange, and you people are a part of the cryptid community, think it not strange that the people who propel this portion on YouTube, at least, propel it forward, are either criticized or they do criticize. They're criticized for, or they do criticize making money in this field. I mean, it's a very communist way of thinking. I've never seen an American. You won't find this field in engineering, or you won't find this type of thinking that you have in this field in engineering. You won't find it in Wall Street or among bankers, lawyers, doctors. You won't ever find someone who will denigrate or punish someone else publicly, or attempt to, because they excel at what they do and they make money doing it. That's the American dream. To use or utilize the gifts that God has given us and to be able to propel ourselves forward financially doing so. That's the American dream. Doing what you love to do and getting paid for it. And when you're in a field like this that has so many people, and this is the fact that I got away from. This is why I've gone back out into the field, and I've got some footage for you guys. I want to go through it, and the days of me throwing just like the raw footage up there is done, unless that's what you guys want me to do. I'd rather just go through it for you. You know what I mean? But again, I'll do what you guys want and what I want and what the Lord tells me. But in any event, folks, you won't find that in any other field. No other field on planet Earth. If you could think of a field that punishes the people that excel, and I'm not talking about the ones that are behind them in line, trying to shoot past them. That's just what it is. That's trying to be a captain of industry. That's climbing that ladder. But it just, I've seen it, experienced it. It's crazy to me that type of behavior is rewarded. It lets you know what principality floats above this field. Now, we'll get into that on a later show because I want to do a deep dive into that with you guys. We fight not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against spiritual wickedness in high places, and the rulers of the darkness of this world. Ephesians 6:12 is one of the most pertinent in the entirety of the Bible. Because that's Paul telling you in no uncertain terms, plain words, no sugar, no cream, exactly who your opponent is, what he is, and how to fight him. We fight not against flesh and blood. We fight against the spiritual madness of this world and spiritual individuals that are in some sort of a militaristic rank. Principalities and powers, the principality of Persia, the angel that was sent to help Daniel fought the prince or principality of Persia. And he had to tag in a mighty angel. He had to tag in Michael. I'm thinking, perhaps it was Gabriel. I don't remember, but this angel, which an angel's nothing to mess with, folks. 168,000 some odd troops over the course of a night, one angel killed by himself after a heavy dinner. You know what I mean? Pardon me, folks, the allergy season, I guess. Nose has been stopped up like a 3-year-old kid. But Ephesians 6:12 lets us know exactly what's taking place. I firmly believe that there's a principality over this subject. Because principalities take territories. Within those territories are souls. That's the name of the game. They don't care about the land. They care about you. They hate you. And the way they get points on the scoreboard is if they segue your attention away from the goal of there being something more than just this your little small, finite 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years on this planet. A lot of y'all think that when you pull those covers over your head at the end of your life, that that's going to be it. And you're going to say, okay, world, I've had a good one. I had money. I had women, men, blah, 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 blah. And that's it for me. I'm just going to go on now and go to sleep and wake up in the glory land. But like the rich man in the parable of Lazarus and the rich man in hell, you might lift up your eyes. We always got to keep that at the forefront of our mind. We call him Lord, but do we make him Lord? Do we make him Lord over our lives? Are we striving to be obedient? Or are we just striving to seem to be obedient? And it's a legitimate question, folks. Like, I'm not being facetious. I'm not trying to be, I would never vouchsafe someone's our faith or try to bring you away from your faith. It's something that I never really talk about that I want everybody's eyes to be open to. But in any event, let's get into it. Now, I mentioned the principality that's over the subject because there's a principality over the leaders of this world. The leaders of this world, they are super religious. They are the most religious, I'd say religious zealots on planet Earth, besides the ones that worship at the altar of science. Now, those guys will turn and rend you. They will rend you in half. They will cut you in half verbally if you try to denigrate any of their teachings, any of their beliefs. But these politicians, I think, may have them beat. Because not only are they religious, but they practice their religion. They abide by their religious trappings more than we do. They're the priests of the grove, folks. The priests of the grove. And let me tell you something. Elijah, the prophet, one of my heroes, and who I call the Stone Cold Steve Austin of all the prophets, he got some yonder when it came to the high priestess of one of these groves. And of course, you know that's old Jezzy, the arch nemesis of any single man. Now, she had her an NBA All, the 1993 NBA All-Stars of these priests of the grove. They were from all different trappings. Some of them were priests of Ashtaroth. Some of them were priests of what's the fish god, Dagon. She put together an all-star list of these wicked priests. Bible talks about when the Lord say, "I know what you do between the clefts of the rock." People, they found some clefts of the rock, so to speak, here in America in the Northeast. And that's where they would do their sacrifices. These are early settlers, folks, early settlers. So, without further ado, I'd like to read y'all some stuff. I'm not going to keep y'all too long tonight. And for all who are sticking with me, who are hanging out and looking for new stuff, I do have a special announcement to make. On Christmas, Lord willing and the creek don't rise, Christmas shall be the launch of the BDRP.com. The BDRP.com will be the new home of the original Cryptid Late Show, as well as the newsletter and everything else you're going to get. And yeah, so we should have a lot of fun with that. We got a couple of writers that are dedicated to writing articles, and I've actually got a couple of field guys that are going to be throwing in with me that are going to do field research, just like the good old days. So mark that on your calendar. We're building the website right now, and it should be phenomenal. That way, no more every time the word Jesus or something like that's mentioned, things go mad, and the Holy Spirit starts moving, and all of a sudden, you know, if I was on here talking about the Mickey Mouse Club or my favorite pints of ice cream, nothing, you know what I'm saying? Things of this nature wouldn't happen, but hopefully that takes care of that. And hopefully you all can join. It's free. So there's a cool part of it. There's no like subscribers portion of it yet, but there will be, where we'll be doing other events and things. But suffice it to say, I'm very excited to be able to present that to y'all, and it's a great blessing to me. So, Bohemian Grove. Let's get into it. Now, you folks know what Bohemian Grove is. We know on the surface level that these wicked politicians and all these jabronis, they go there. They do their weird, ancient, esoteric, mystery school, occult rituals. And allegedly, and this is what I believe, they sacrifice something or someone. I firmly believe they sacrifice someone, folks. I really do. I believe that they have an old school sacrifice, that the effigy they burn, there's someone inside. Now, Alex Jones snuck in the, I believe, late 90s, early 2000s. He snuck in the joint. It was the first time that their ritual had been presented to the public. And it was presented to the public, folks. And you hear Walter Cronkite's voice babbling on some sort of madness. And it was really creepy. And just the droning hurrahs that they were getting. It seemed very cultish and very cult-like and very wicked. It just had this wicked ambiance to it. And I rebuke it fully in the name of Lord Jesus Christ and plead his precious blood against every last attendant, every last card-carrying member, and everyone who's ever been in attendance. Because you know some stuff is going on there that they call this giant owl Moloch. You know another name for Moloch? Baal. B-A-A-L. Baal. Let none among you be caught passing your children through the fires of who? Baal. So you have to ask yourself, you can listen to all that jargon that they tell you on the news and on the History Channel about how it's, there's this club of the elite, and how they really just give each other a rap on the knuckles and a kiss on the cheek and send each other on their way. Like my daddy used to say, bullshit ain't nothing but chewed up grass. Folks, you have the biggest movers and shakers of the common era going through there. Enemy combatants in wars at some points in time were attendants, and they would sit peacefully because weaving spiders come not here. And the esoteric connotations behind that is even crazy. These people are occult to the bone, and they hope that you overlook what they're actually doing. And what they're actually doing is dictating policy that changes the world, not for the better. So for anybody who doesn't know, the history of Bohemian Grove is as follows. Bohemian Grove has sparked various conspiracy theories due to its secretive nature. Some claim it's a gathering place for the global elite to make influential decisions, while others say it's for their nefarious activities. However, concrete evidence supporting these theories are scarce, though there is some. It remains a mystery, the actual dealings that happen within the walls of Bohemian Grove. Folks, there was a gentleman, and what got me on this, God bless this guy, God preserve him. There was a gentleman just the other day, and I'll leave the link in the description box below. There was a gentleman just the other day who snuck into Bohemian Grove while it was closed down, because it's open in the summertime. And folks, this cat actually went where they did the rituals. He went where the pond was. And the footage that Alex Jones got, which it was remarkable. Alex Jones, I don't care what you think about him. I don't care what you feel about him. He's the real deal, folks. And this will probably be demonetized for me saying that. He's the real deal. And I believe he was punished for going in there, but God bless him for doing it. That showed courage. Showed courage that a lot of journalists or so-called journalists don't display today. There's no journalistic integrity. But he snuck in there and he filmed one of their rituals. It was an old Canaanite ritual where they would make a sacrifice of a human for the seasons to be in their favor. All the kings and the potentates would go there and partake in their sex rituals and things of this nature. The same thing they do at Bohemian Grove. Now, there's a deep dive to that, but I have it recorded for you because this is a topic, like I said, is my first foray into the things that are hidden from us, and it's hidden for a good reason, folks. If the general public was to know what goes on behind those walls, behind those gates, they'd be mad about it. There was a gentleman named Gunderson who was an FBI field chief out of Los Angeles, I believe. He was looking into the same thing that's running rampant today, human trafficking and the kidnapping of children. And folks, this gentleman, this brave gentleman who deserves a statue somewhere, it's a crime that he doesn't have one. This man was for the people, and this man had the protection of the Lord over him. There's no doubt in my mind. He exposed child trafficking all the way from from LA to Bohemian Grove to the White House. George H.W. Bush, who's one of the main antagonists in this thing I'm presenting you, because he's one of the main antagonists in American history. Same gentleman who said when he was questioned he didn't know where he was during the JFK assassination. This is a man who worked for the CIA during that time, though they say there's no record of it, though there is a record of it, him signing a handbill that was logged in and because of the information, the Freedom of Information Act that's out there for public consumption. He signed a handbill for some junk that he was doing, something in plain Jane that you wouldn't think about, but it puts him in the CIA when he said he wasn't in the CIA at the same time the Kennedy assassination took place. More so, there was a picture taken of him, not only him, but his 16-year-old son, George W. Bush, his two nannies, and their driver, all in Daley Plaza. Imagine that. Many people would say he was the one who was tasked with supervising the Bay of Pigs before that turned into a fiasco. Mr. Gunderson traced child trafficking all the way back to the White House under George H.W. Bush. And when you see what he was doing with the rest of the country at the time, while he was introducing crack cocaine into poor neighborhoods, the man is just evil. Or was evil. Hell reached up to meet him. I think it was one of the world's largest earthquakes in modern history happened the day he died. Hell was rushing up that fast to meet him. Hunter S. Thompson, something that broke my heart, the reason I wanted to go to school for journalism. Hunter S. Thompson, who inundated himself in his own stories, who was a drug-crazed lunatic at the end of the day. One of the gentlemen that Gunderson interviewed, who was, I guess, one of the guys that goes, and he was a victim himself, but he was so broken that they sent him out to capture these people, these kids, and trick them into, give them drugs and trick them into, coming to these parties where these elite were. He said that there was a gentleman from Kentucky that called himself the Colonel that would film these snuff films and other filthy things. Flash forward to 2 years before Hunter S. Thompson died, he fired a gun at his longtime personal assistant because she didn't want to watch this snuff film that he had filmed, according to her. He was also given the title of Kentucky Colonel by the governor of Kentucky back in the 70s. Folks said 2 + 2 = 4 all day long in southern Oklahoma. So I'm scratching the surface for you, but I'm just trying to prepare you for what is to come, because, folks, Bohemian Grove is the precipice of everything evil that's happened in the 20th and 21st century. I firmly believe that. When you have all these generals and leaders from all around the world and influencers, actors, I think somebody even threw Mark Twain in there. Mark Twain was in there. I want you to go after this show and listen to the recording that Richard Nixon did when he said he went to Bohemian Grove and his thoughts on it. And as humorous as it will be for you, he was telling the truth. It's a den of weirdos and occultists. And this country, as well as all others, are ran firmly. Johnny Gosh, thank you very much, my nature. That was that gentleman's name. This country, as well as all others, are ran by secret societies. When Trump was first running for president, if you remember, it was Newt Gingrich, and you don't see very much of him. You didn't before then, but you damn sure didn't afterwards. Newt Gingrich, for whatever reason, I guess the Lord animated his tongue, or he was lost in the sauce one. But he said, no one on Capitol Hill, Republican or Democrat, wants Trump in office because he hasn't taken any oaths and he's not a part of any secret society. And he wasn't saying that as a triumphant thing. he was saying that, being leery of it. He was leery of it. He was like, nobody knows this guy. This guy hasn't sworn any oaths of allegiance to us. He's not a part of our secret societies. He's a cowboy. He's going to do whatever he wants to do. We can't let him in there. Are you crazy? Things are going the way they go because of our occult practices and our rituals and our secret societies. We can't have somebody that's actually from the people, literally, no matter how much money he has. We can't have someone who's an actual independent, who cares about these people, who cares about the people. We care about what this country's going to do for the next 20 years. We have it planned. We have brain trust that we put together of the most genius people in this nation and around the world to dictate the way it goes. We inundate the people through their television and through their TV shows and through their music, and we hypnotize them into doing what we want them to do. Why would we put somebody in there who's going to lead them away from that? You see what I'm saying? It's the heavy duty. It's fast acting and acting. I'm telling you. And folks, I saw a preview to a movie. Now I'll let you go on this one. I told you I wasn't going to keep you that long. I saw a preview to a movie yesterday, or last night rather, called Civil War. If that's not, you got to watch this. If you haven't seen this movie preview, watch it right after this show. Your hair will stand up on the back of your neck. It's the most predictive programming I think that I've ever seen in modern times. They've done their best over the course of 30 years, especially the past 20, to turn American against American. Done their dead level best, and they've done a fairly decent job. They just got a stick in the spokes at one point in time. Now every agenda that they've thrown out there has failed, fallen flat on its face, and they're starting to get caught with their skirt up. They're getting caught with their skirt up because the Lord is blowing that heavy wind up there to do it. Folks, we are about to see some of the most amazing, miraculous, beautiful, world-changing things the earth has ever seen. I firmly believe that. They tried to destroy us with pestilence. The Lord said no. They tried to put an evil dictator over us who has the devil at his right hand. The Lord said, okay, but no. No one's going to accept them. No one's going to be hypnotized by your nonsense anymore. I've seen more people wake up in the past 2 years than the past 20 years prior to that. People are wanting truth. The lie that they were don't get me wrong. The people that believe the lie are doubling down. You just keep your eye on them. They're going to be, this is just one guy's opinion from Southern Oklahoma. They're going to become dangerous. Probably shouldn't even be saying that, but it's the truth. They are grabbing onto this lie, even though it's falling apart in their hands. And when you have somebody whose reality is crumbling before them, because it's not reality, it's what they project reality to be, or what's been projected to them, that person becomes dangerous, folks. You're destroying everything that they've embraced as truth, even though it's a lie. They have that strong delusion. You understand what I'm saying? So, and if you have any questions, folks, I'm going to read this for you and I'm going to let you go. Just throw your questions in all caps and I'll get to them at the very end. And I appreciate y'all stopping in. Bohemian Grove, located in California, traces its roots back to 1872 when a group of San Francisco journalists and artists formed the Bohemian Club, seeking a retreat for creative expression and camaraderie. They purchased a redwood grove near the Russian River. Over the years, the Bohemian Club has expanded its membership to include influential figures from various fields. In 1902, the club acquired the current location in Monte Rio, establishing the Bohemian Grove as an exclusive retreat. The site became synonymous with the annual summer encampment, where members, including prominent politicians, business leaders, and artists, gathered for 2 weeks of networking, performances, and discussions. The Grove's most iconic tradition is the cremation of care ceremony, performed at the start of the encampment. This theatrical event involves a symbolic sacrifice to rid participants of worldly concerns and promote creative freedom. Despite its theatrical nature, conspiracy theories surrounding the ceremony abound, suggesting occult rituals and secretive agendas. Throughout the 20th century, the Grove faced criticism for its male-only membership policy, which persisted until 1972 when the club finally admitted female members. In the late 20th and early 21st centuries, Bohemian Grove became a focal point for conspiracy theories, with claims ranging from global decision-making to clandestine activities. However, limited access to the Grove and a lack of substantial evidence have kept these theories largely speculative. The Bohemian Grove remains a private, elusive enclave shrouded in secrecy and myth. Its history reflects the evolution of a club founded on artistic ideals into a gathering place for the influential elite, leaving much room for speculation and intrigue. Now, that's, of course, the official synopsis for you, but, you know, nobody's going to take, nobody who's going to be considered a journalist these days are going to take in any kind of ecumenical evidence towards the fact that, yes, that sacrifice may actually have somebody who's somehow drugged or something inside of that effigy, because they're burning something. And if you watch Alex Jones' video, you can, and especially if you're a musician, you know sound or anything about sound editing, you hear Walter Cronkite's voice. You hear that weird music, sounds like it's on an elevator back in the 40s. But the screams is coming from a completely different source than anything else. They had a scream on the recording, but right underneath that, if you talk to any audiologist, there is a person screaming in pain in that video. I wonder what that was. So, and even if they are, folks, let's take the official narrative. Even if they are just going through the motions, just like I told people, and just like every native chief has tried to tell people for hundreds of years, do you really think that all that energy pointed in one place is just going nowhere? All that attention, all that focus, and all that energy, it's just kind of what? Just going into the ether, just disappearing into nowhere? No, they focus it in a certain direction for a certain reason, for a certain result. A lot of you people like the ghost stuff, all that ghost junk. I really wonder what it would be like to take an EVP, or to get the electromagnetic like reading of that place while that ritual is going on, before and after. You know what I'm saying? I wonder if there's any cryptid sightings, because we all know those Bigfoot at least is in those redwoods. Somebody used to be associated with the channel, I forget his name, but he's still out there right now. He's over there where the redwood forests are. He's filmed juvenile running into the redwood forest. Great piece of film. It makes you wonder. It makes you think. It really does. And Aaron Billings is absolutely right. A cornered predator is a very, very dangerous predator. But folks, I thank you for your attentiveness and your time. Hit like, subscribe, share this with your friends and family, and we'll see you on the next one. You guys have a good night. Tradition. Don't make me pray you away. My Nature, Claire Ellis, Deimos Mars, Aaron Billings, Zephaniah 3421, the great James Escobar, James Bowen, Lucas Williams, and Brother Doug. Thank you folks again, and I'll see you a little bit later on tonight. Take care, y'all.